3 hours long? This is a long Halloween. Hey everyone, welcome to Princess of Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today we are reacting to Batman, The Long Halloween. This is a donation reward for Venom, and is something that I have wanted to see since it first started coming out. What do I mean by that? Well, this movie was originally released in two separate parts. Part one and part two, both in and of themselves are about like an hour, 20 minutes or so, making this full runtime 2 hours, 45 minutes. This is a long one. And I say it was first released that way because there was a kind of definitive edition released that is just the full thing in one go, and that's what we're reacting to today. I don't know if it has any extra scenes or if it, like, I don't know, blends the two parts together really well. I don't know exactly how it's done, but yeah, this is gonna be an interesting one for sure, nonetheless. Saying a lot of words there. So, Batman The Long Halloween is a very popular comic. It is one of the most popular Batman comics, I would say. And I've never read it. I don't know much of anything about it. I believe it takes place on Halloween night, and that's all I know. Oh, I know Catwoman is in it. I do know that. Um, but that's about it. I don't know like what other characters might appear in it, villains or otherwise. I don't know like at what point in Batman's career this takes place in, so I don't know if like we'll get Robin or Batgirl or anything like that. I don't know a lot of the context behind this movie. I don't even know if it's actually going to be like really spooky or anything. Like, or if it just takes place on Halloween. I don't know. The one other thing that I do know about this movie specifically is that Jensen Ackles of Supernatural and The Boys fame, and who has voiced the Red Hood in the movie Under the Red Hood, gets to play Batman. This was a dream role for him. He always wanted to voice Batman. And getting to voice Jason Todd slash the Red Hood in that movie, like, he loved that. He always really loved that role. He even cosplays as Jason Todd. Well, I don't know if he still does, but he has cosplayed as Jason Todd as the Red Hood. He really loves Batman. He's a huge Batman nerd, and he always wanted to play Batman. And now, even if it's an animation, he got his wish. He got to voice Batman in this movie. Or I guess technically two movies if you want to look at it that way. And I'm really excited for that. I'm really excited to see him as Batman in this. Because I definitely know he can do it. He definitely has the acting talents to do it. I mean, he was phenomenal in Under the Red Hood as Jason. He did such a damn good job in that movie. Dude can act and voice act easily. So I definitely have a lot of faith in him for this. I don't know who else is in this. I haven't really heard anything. I haven't heard much of anyone talking about this movie or these movies, however you wish to see it. But I have heard a little bit that it is well received. That's about it, though. So I don't know like any other details, luckily. But for those who may not know, I am a big fan of Batman. If you haven't watched my reaction series for the Caped Crusader series, I would definitely suggest checking that out. I've been a big fan of Batman my entire life. He's always been one of my favorite superheroes. And like I grew up like playing the Arkham games and watching Batman the Animated Series, stuff like that. These were always huge deals for me growing up. And so it's like every time there's like a new Batman movie or a new series, it's like it's something that just inherently interests me. And so I haven't seen, there's quite a few of the like animated movies that I haven't seen, and there's some that I just don't like Batman Ninja. I can't stand. I think it's a bad movie. But this is one that I've wanted to see because this is based off, again, one of the biggest comics, one of the like most popular Batman comics that I know nothing about. Like, it's not like Killing Joke where it's like, oh yeah, I've read that prior to seeing that movie. I've actually read The Killing Joke, something I don't typically read comics, so. But no, I've never read Long Halloween. I don't know anything about the story of it. I'm excited for this. I'm excited for something that's new and special. And I know this probably isn't like much of an actual horror film, and we've been trying to do like things like on that theme for this month as we do on October. But it's still in the theme of October. It's called the Long Halloween. Like, even though it may not be like horror, it still fits. So I wanted to do this, and yeah, I mean, I was determined to do like the entire thing from the start. I just didn't know initially which week I was going to do it on. It ends up being this week, so yeah. Either way, we're going to get this started. We're going to hope for the best and see what we have in store with Batman the Long Halloween. So let's get this going. Cutting in here real quick to remind you of all the awesome content we have on the channel. Between Monday and Friday, we have a plethora of awesome series reactions with 2 on Wednesday. We also have movie reactions every Saturday and Sunday. I do pre-record them during the week, but upload them on the weekend. And don't forget all of the awesome gaming content we have on the Princess of Gaming channel. We have Baldur's Gate 3 every single day, Horizon Forbidden West every Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. We have Beyond Two Souls on Wednesdays and Sundays, and on Saturdays we have Poppy Playtime. And don't forget to follow the link in the description below to today's reaction. I redirect all reactions just due to copyright, you know how it is. And on top of that, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like this video for more awesome content such as this. Thank you so much for tuning in. Let's get started on today's reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So, I cut it off, I guess, a little early because there's like this like 10-second post-credits scene. I really didn't think we were going to get one. I had no reason to believe that. But it was just this random thing where Alfred answered the door for more trick-or-treaters, and it was Flash and Green Arrow. Just completely randomly. They didn't have a speaking role or anything. They were just there. It's like, the fuck is this? Why? What? Just a random thing. But maybe it's connected to, I guess there's a couple other movies that I think are supposed to be set in the same continuity that Jensen Ackles reprises his role in. Legion of Superheroes and Justice League Warworld. Let me see here. Apparently there's an animated movie universe, a story arc called the Tomorrowverse that this is involved with. It started with Superman Man of Tomorrow in 2020. And it also had Justice Society World War II. I've heard of that one. Green Lantern Beware My Power. The 2 I just mentioned, Legion of Superheroes and Warworld. As well as the Justice League Crisis on Infinite Earths trilogy. There's apparently 3 parts to that one that came out just this year. But yeah, this is actually the second story arc, the Tomorrowverse, in the DC animated movie universe. The first part was the New 52, which is the one that ended with Apocalypse War. So yeah, I didn't know this was actually technically part of the same continuity as that. This is after everything was reset and all. After the New 52 storyline ended. So that's interesting. Maybe I should end up checking out the rest of the Tomorrowverse then. Um, that being said, like I said, never read the comics to this, but from what I saw there, it's like apparently this is pretty faithful. Um, but with never having read the comics, I can't personally say how faithful or like how connected to that it is. Um, that being said, I don't think it fucking matters because this was amazing. Like, I really liked that this touched on the detective aspect of Batman, but addressing that he's never really been good at it and that he's learning to get good at it. It's kind of this aspect of like, oh, we're pointing out that a lot of these Batman movies and shows and whatnot don't really delve into that factor. They don't really go into the detective aspect of it. And that in a lot of these movies and shows and stuff, he's, well, not good at being a detective, you could say. It's kind of meta if you really think about it. And I kind of dig that. But, like, even outside of that, like, this was just really, really tightly written. The mystery aspect of this film through both halves of it is just so actively good. Like, this is what I would want from a Batman mystery. It keeps you guessing. It makes you switch your suspect at multiple points. It makes you wonder who it could actually be. And it leads you on in different ways. It leads you on to different suspects the entire time. At some point, you think it's Alberto. At one point, you might think it's um, uh, Salvatore and various other people. But you do kind of figure out by a certain point, at least I did, that it was probably Harvey's wife. Like that definitely was one of my suspects after a certain point. But it's like I would have never guessed her from the beginning. And honestly, I was questioning it the entire time I suspected her. There were so many other names I was thinking about as well, so many other names I was questioning. And I love that it made me second guess myself, because a good mystery always should. As a fan of Sherlock Holmes, it's like, yeah, you should always want to second guess yourself. With a mystery like this, it's like it's going to lead you on a journey. And the best part of this journey was that it was, you know, taking you down these different paths to where any of this could have been the case. It could have been Alberto from the information we had. Um, the only thing I would say I could count as a negative against this would be Penguin's random inclusion in the end. Like when we have all the villains who are coming together, all the villains we had seen throughout throughout these movies, all of them come together at the end, but Penguin's there. Why is Penguin there? It's like he didn't even do anything in the final battle. He just kind of like gets like knocked aside, and it's just like, oh, you're done. All right, a lot of good you were. He had like one line of dialogue, and it's like, why were you there? It felt entirely random and just like they wanted to just put Penguin in there just to have him acknowledged. Um, but it's like he had no connection to the rest of the story, unlike Ivy, unlike Joker, and it's like all of these other villains were featured earlier on, so their inclusion at that big battle made sense. It all fit. And yeah, I think that for the most part that was good. It's just again, Penguin was random as fuck. Uh I really like the art and animation style. It very much felt very comic booky with the thick lines and everything. Even some of the animation with how the characters would move at certain points felt like almost like a motion comic. And usually I don't typically tend to like that stuff. It really has to execute it super well and still make it feel like an animated feature, series or movie, whatever have you. It has to still feel like this is an animated feature rather than just feeling like, oh, a comic has come to life. That was my biggest problem with like the first episode of Uzumaki, which apparently that series went very far downhill anyway. Um, According to most people, it seems. But that was my issue with the first episode, where everyone loved the animation of the first episode. I thought it didn't feel like animation. It felt like a comic book was being moved. And I'm not going to like rant about that again here because I've already done that, but it didn't feel like it was actually an animated feature. It didn't feel like I was watching an animated series. It felt like I was just watching someone moving a comic book. But here, it feels more like this is still an animated feature, like I'm still watching an animated movie. It has a style, and it sticks to that style excellently. But it doesn't, at the same time, make it all about that style. It still remembers that, you're watching a cartoon. I also love that this movie was not afraid to go extremely dark with some of its kills and attacks and stuff. Some of it was very graphic. Like, I'm still surprised at Alberto's death, like, after being shot and everything. Like, he falls over and then falls into the, like, rotor of the boat, and it just slices the shit out of him. It's like, Jesus fuck. Why? That is so graphically overkill. That was so unnecessary. It's like, my God. And it kept dark the entire time, even at parts where it's like, oh, it's not like necessarily super graphic and bloody and everything. It still was dark. It was a very dark story that dealt with a lot of heavy shit. And I also like the concept of this holiday killer. Like, I mean, even outside of just kind of stealing Calendar Man's shit, it's like, it kind of sounds like a themed serial killer in real life. Like, you think of like Zodiac Killer or whatnot, or things like that. And it's like, oh, yeah, it's like a serial killer who has a really, fucked up theme that almost makes it feel like they're trying to play a game with you. It's like, that's very messed up. But it adds a certain level of intrigue to it as well. That makes it interesting to watch, interesting to, like, see, to experience. I am bad at wording shit, but you know what I mean. I also like how this was basically just a Two-Face origin story. How this movie, while featuring other villains and other plot points and everything, was all a big origin story for Two-Face. Seeing Harvey's mental state deteriorate as the movie goes along, seeing him start to like lose his mind and lose his morals, and eventually once you start hearing the voice, it's like, oh yeah, he's just going crazy, and there's a certain aspect you have to take into account with the idea that this almost seemed to go into a dissociative identity disorder situation, because there's a lot of people who find the idea of, like, for lack of a better word, criminalizing people who have DID. A lot of people find that really fucked up. Because it's like you're taking a real life illness that real people go through, and you're basically making it look like they're all crazy. You're using that illness as a reason to be a criminal, as a reason to be bad, or like anyone. It makes it look like anyone with this illness must be crazy, must be psychotic or anything. And a lot of people don't like that, and I don't like that either. But at the same time, I don't think that that's exactly what they're going for. I don't think they're trying to insult anybody with like DID or anything. this is just how Two-Face has always been. I don't think it's actually DID. When I was making that comparison in the reaction, I don't think it's like actually what we're expected to believe is going on there. I think it's more of like he was just losing his sanity and became another person in a way. I don't think it was like a literal DID situation. And again, I really, really doubt they would be like actively like trying to paint it in a negative light like that. I also love all the voice acting performances, though. Moving on. Outside of just Jensen Ackles, who is a phenomenal actor and voice actor, we've heard him in this kind of world before as Jason Todd, the Red Hood, in the movie Under the Red Hood. It's like, even outside of him, everyone did great. I mean, you have Jack Quaid, who we know is a great voice actor from like My Adventures with Superman. Even though his role wasn't massive in this, he still did a great job. We have David Dastmalchian, who is on a huge role in recent years. Like, he is becoming a massive name. And, I mean, that's even going to continue when season 2 of the live-action One Piece comes out, and he plays Mr. 3 in that, Galdino. So that's going to be really fun. I'm very excited for that. But yeah, he's having a great career lately. And this is just another feather in his cap for sure. His performance here was great. You have the oh God, what was her name? I am bad with names sometimes too. So I apologize for any like issues I have with that. Let me make sure I get the name. You have Naya Rivera as Catwoman. And she did a great job. And the interesting thing is she passed away in 2020. And this movie came out like in 2021 and 20... no, they both parts came out in 2021. The deluxe edition, which is what we just watched, was released in 2022. But still, like she recorded her lines and stuff like well ahead of time, clearly. She passed away like well before her time and everything. And, yeah, she apparently disappeared according to this. And she was found by divers in a lake. Caught up in a rip current, struggled to get back to the boat. Oh, she saved her son, that's what it was, yeah. Her and her son, like got washed out of their boat and everything. She got her son to the boat, but wasn't able to save herself. Yeah. Accidental drowning. Yeah, it was like it was a big story. She did fantastic, and dedicating the movie to her was the right choice. I mean, pretty much all movies will do that. When an actor passes away, they'll dedicate it to that actor posthumously and everything. But it's like it really after what she did, and after like she ended up passing away and saving her son before she did, it's like she deserves like to be remembered for sure. Josh Duhamel did great as Harvey. Troy Baker's Joker, like I mentioned in the reaction, is complicated because he's doing a Mark Hamill impression. He is actively doing a Mark Hamill Joker impression. And he's good at it. He's really good at it. But like I said, and like a lot of people say, it's like you would almost rather hear the actor do a different take on it rather than just copy Mark Hamill. Yeah, Mark Hamill became a legend for his Joker portrayal and specifically his voice and laugh. But it's like you want to hear the character portrayed differently. I mentioned John DiMaggio in Under the Red Hood. Phenomenal portrayal, does it extremely differently. Kevin Michael Richardson in the Batman series did a very different portrayal and is very well received and loved for his take on the Joker. It's like we want to see different takes on this voice, on the laugh, on the character. That isn't just the same thing over and over again. And it's like, we all love Mark Hamill, but no one's going to be Mark Hamill. And no one should try to be him. And that's where I think Troy Baker does, you know, make a mistake with this role. Again, he's good at it. I'm not discounting his abilities here. I'm not discounting his performance. I just don't think that he should be trying to copy Mark Hamill's Joker voice. He really should do his own thing. And he's talented enough to do so. Like, Troy Baker is one of the best. He very much could come up with his own Joker voice. But yeah, amazing voice actors. The character designs, I don't know if this is exactly the same as they're in the comic. I don't think they are, because one thing I was thinking the entire time is, I think I've seen Catwoman's Long Halloween costume before, and isn't it purple? Let me check here. I thought it was like more purple. Yeah, that's what I'm seeing here. Her Long Halloween costume typically is like very purple in color. And here it was more like a dark bluish color. Which, I mean, that's not that big of a deal, all things considered. That's not like the biggest issue by any means. Also, her ears in the comic seem to be a lot like longer and more like pointed, almost, for lack of a better word. Hold on. I'm trying to see if I can show you. I want to see about showing you here. I have to turn down my brightness. Jesus, I accidentally pressed something. Okay. See, right there, it's like a very notable purple. I'm sorry it's so blurry, but that's from the comic. And it has like the pointed ears and everything. And it's like, again, it's fine that it's different. I have no problem with it being different. But it's like, it felt like a much more standard Catwoman look. So I know that's a little different from the comic. I'm wondering about other characters. Like, I mean, I'm genuinely wondering, is that what Sophia Falcone looked like in the comic? I want to look that up. Hold on. Because it's like, Jesus. Let me see if I can find that. Sophia Falcone Long Halloween comic. Yeah, actually, kind of. Holy shit, she was actually kind of massive in the comic, too. Hold on, let me bring down the brightness. This is her with her father in the comic. She was massive in the comic, too. Holy shit, okay, that was actually extremely accurate. Wow, okay. Damn. Shit. Okay. I don't know why that decision was made for the comic, or I don't know if maybe she's like that in a lot of the comics, but I mean, at least for this movie, it's like, Jesus fuck. Like, how fucking tall was she supposed to be there? Like, Carmine is not, like, short. I mean, I'd say he's probably, like, upwards of 6 feet tall. She had to be at least 6'5", right? Maybe not quite 6'5". I wonder if I can find that out. Sophia Falcone height. It's probably different depending on different, like, takes. Because, like, this one I'm seeing says 5'1". She is not no fucking 5'1" in that. Like, abso-fucking-lutely not. This one says 5'5". Yeah, I think it just depends on the take. Here, she is definitely much fucking taller. I wonder if I can find specifically Long Halloween height. Sorry I'm focusing so much on this, but, yeah. Um, shit, hold on. I'm not really seeing much here in regards to that. I don't think there's like maybe a canon specificity on that. But she was so fucking huge. And it's not just that she was tall. Like, girl was built like a fucking mountain. Like the wow, I just stuttered over every word. By only saying one word. Not width. I can't think of the other word though. The width of her shoulders. There's another word for it. Broadness. The broadness of her shoulders. Like, oh my god. And then she had like active muscle definition. It wasn't like as notable as like other shows or movies would do. But still. And it's like, girl just was built different. And it's like, listen, you can't do this to me. Of all people, specifically me, you can't do this to. I have a very, very strong, like, we'll say interest in buff women. I don't hide this. I'm very open about this. You can't do this to me. And it's like on top of that, she's also just attractive. Even outside of just being buff, it's like she also just has this like certain attractiveness to her that in like her face and everything. It's just like, oh my god, like I am very much thirsting on camera right now. I was feeling a certain way on camera. Sophia Falcone did something to me that I try not to let happen too often on camera because it's like it's embarrassing if I'm being completely honest. Um, it's one of the few things that actually does embarrass me a bit when I just like kind of like lose it on camera in regards to that. It is something that does kind of embarrass me. And it could have been worse. I will admit that. And I think part of the reason I was able to start controlling myself is because I was able to dig my nails into myself. I was doing that. I was digging my nails into my leg as well as my toes. I was digging the nails on one of my toes into the other foot, leg, calf, whatever. Um, and it's just like I think that was helping me keep myself under control. I talked about it before, like with Hell of a Boss. Like the first time I saw Veronica and everything, it's just like I mentioned that it was a good thing that I was not on camera at that moment. Um, it wouldn't have been pretty. It's like I would that would have been the most embarrassing probably moment of my life. Um, and I don't necessarily think Verostica is like the most attractive character out there. It's just I had a reaction the first time I saw her when I first saw that episode of Hell of a Boss. I had a very notable reaction. That was definitely worse than this reaction. Yeah. But anyway, I also had a reaction to Poison Ivy when she first appeared in this one. And I think it was just more surprised that they did go with a skimpier outfit for her because I think a lot of modern ones have not been doing that. They've been shying away from that. And just the way the reveal was done was done in such a way to where it's like, oh yeah, you're supposed to just suddenly be overwhelmed by how like hot she is. And again, that's part of her character, so it like makes sense. But it's like after that, I was very much able to control myself with her, not with Sophia. I was every time she showed up on screen, especially when she was in that dress with her back muscles showing, and it's like Jesus fuck. Oh my god. I am weak. I am very weak. Um, but yeah, it's like the writing behind this, the dialogue. I like how certain lines were repeated throughout the movie, such as the line about what was it? It was like the see you on the other side and stuff like that. That was repeated throughout the film, and it was like hyping up the other side, really building up to Harvey's Two Face transformation. It just it worked so well. The dialogue was excellently written. I assume if this is super faithful, it was taken just straight from the comic, with some additions, of course, because they would have to adapt it. But like the dialogue, the writing, it was all so good. And I just really appreciate what they did with all of that. I really appreciate how they handled it all. And yeah, it wasn't exactly like spooky in that regard, but it definitely kept the Halloween theme, even though it went throughout an entire year and covered other holidays. It's like the Halloween theme and the intensity and even scariness of certain things, like obviously including Scarecrow in there. It's like, yeah, it all still worked as a Halloween movie, and I'm fairly okay with doing this for this month. It's not part of the Halloween special, mind you. It's just one of our other reactions, but all of our other reactions have also been horror movies. Um, and while this one again isn't, I still think it fits. I think this was just a great watch. I'm really glad I watched this, and hopefully I'll get to some of the other movies in the Tomorrowverse saga, I guess you could call it, and just see what else we end up getting in the future. But for now, tell me in the comments below, what did you think of this film? Let me know your thoughts. Let me know if you've read the comic and if there's any like notable differences in any way. Let me know. But thank you so much for tuning in nonetheless. And for now, I'm Connie and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.